Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. As the most bleeped political commentator in BC, a title that I gave to myself, I am immersed in the BC election campaign as we head to the polls that count on October 19th. In addition to this program, I'm doing weekly commentary for CBC Radio, and I'm also writing a column for the Tyee entitled Logic Check. Find it at thetyee.ca, where I wrote this piece, logic checking BC United's claim that they would balance the budget while implementing a $5.5 billion tax cut. BC United, of course, suspended its campaign the day after this was published, which we can pretend was probably because of this column. Now, last week, I wrote this piece, logic checking the BC NDP repeatedly rejecting a policy that would help BC renters while quietly implementing the same policy for just one neighborhood of BC renters. So yeah, I like calling out politician doublespeak where they contradict themselves. Let me show you what I mean, and let's take a moment. Homelessness is up in British Columbia, and not just in Vancouver, Victoria, and Kelowna, but all across the province. In fact, about 100,000 households in BC are at risk of homelessness. Perhaps the provincial election campaign will spotlight this escalating crisis in a battle royale of policy ideas and campaign promises that propel a renewed sense of what needs to be done as opposition parties pledge to do things differently and better. So what are John Rustad and the BC Conservatives proposing? Well, they don't have a full platform yet, fair enough, but they have some ideas on their website. They're going to end tent cities, solve homelessness by ending homelessness, which actually makes sense. House the unhoused. Housing should, of course, be tailored to each individual's need, but it's hard to see how someone can address chronic pain, addiction, or trauma without a roof over their head. Now, Conservatives don't want to warehouse people, although they say it's because moving unhoused people into high-density buildings craters property values. Instead, the Conservatives want to open more mental health and rehabilitation facilities where people can rebuild their lives. But unhoused people still need somewhere to sleep, right? Of course, supportive housing. Housing that provides on-site supports for people at risk or experiencing homelessness. Supports like treatment services, life skills training, connections to healthcare. This makes sense. Except the Conservatives call supportive housing extreme policies, part of a radical plan. For context, this proposed supportive housing development in Richmond, BC was suspended by the BC NDP government in order to do more consultation. Totally not because they're caving to BC Conservative fear-mongering. Fear-mongering, per Conservative logic, whereby unhoused people shouldn't be able to shelter in public and shouldn't be provided housing, even if that housing has recovery-oriented services, because that's extreme. So under a John Rustad government, where do unhoused people sleep at night? If any BC Conservatives care to explain, I'd love to hear their answer. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to Corinne Kirkpatrick and Guy Felicella for their time tonight. If you have any thoughts about tonight's show, please shoot me an email, mo@thisisvancolour.com. I love hearing from you. Also, follow me on X or TikTok at VANCOLOUR. We will be back next week, but for now, this is VANCOLOUR, and I'm Mo Amir telling you that in a province where you can be anything, be colorful. Peace.